Welcome to Moto Mouths, the podcast for MotoGP, motorsports, and more with your hosts, Zoe.
And your other host, also Zoe.
Zoe, this week, I'm still feeling red.
This week, I am actually feeling fearless. I'm currently in Atlanta, so I'm currently in what you might call the Deep South. So I'm feeling a little country. I can't lie. So we're still in the preseason. This is definitely still true. Still in launch season. Preseason testing is kicking off. But we're here today to talk about the remaining kind of back half of team launches before the season actually really gets to a start. Cool. So let's jump right in with KTM and Gas. So I think there's a couple things I want to talk through for the KTM Gas launch. Obviously, starting off strong with the visual piece, since the most important part of every preseason launch is talking visuals. KTM this year has gone all in on the exact same liveries and the exact same support for their factory and their satellite teams. So yeah, it's basically you are seeing double. That is what's happening.
Yes. Red Bull.
And then 2 more Red Bulls, yeah.
And then 2 more Red Bulls.
Lots of orange.
A splash of orange. It looks like last year's.
I agree with you. I think it's very consistent with, the liveries and the colors that they've had for a while. The only thing is that it is going to be a bit of a problem figuring out on the grid who is who. So I think that's going to be a real test for my contacts and my kind of hand-eye coordination on a screen.
What are you using your hands for?
Well, not hand-eye coordination, but like tracking things on a screen.
Oh, I don't know what that's called.
Me neither. I'm not an ophthalmologist.
Optometrist.
That either.
One quick thing on the visuals. Do we think that Max Verstappen sees KTM and gets a little annoyed that he can't have orange on his car?
I think no. And here's the thing. I think orange in Formula One is such a McLaren color that...
Don't you mean papaya?
Oh, you're so right. That's my mistake. That is on me. Papaya is a McLaren color. And I think even though he does have that like very strong Dutch connection, I think he's good without the orange on the car.
All right. Orange Army.
He looks really good in navy. Like, in all honesty.
He does.
He doesn't need the orange.
Listen, I don't think it's hard to look good in navy. It's a very flattering color.
Yeah, I'm with you. Shifting gears to money and not in a fun way.
You know it's not a flattering color? Red, as in being in the red and having no money.
Yeah, and that is KTM's situation, kind of in a nutshell. Obviously everyone's been keeping up to date on kind of the really unfortunate financial situation KTM is in. I believe the latest numbers were something like $2 billion in debt, which is a shit ton of money.
That's so much money.
Yeah, but at the KTM Gas launch, Pit Buyer, who is, I believe, still very heavily involved in the KTM kind of MotoGP project, did confirm that KTM is planning on sticking around through the next couple of years. But they do have, I think, a date of late February 25th, I believe, of, confirming with the Austrian government about whether or not they definitely can stay. It sounds like they're still making MotoGP a priority, which is great, but we just still don't know for sure whether or not that's going to be true the next couple of years.
How are they going to get out of this?
I don't know. That's the Austrian government's problem, so not for me.
A bake sale?
I think that could work. I'd buy something.
They'd sell a lot of Red Bull.
They need to go all in on, like, merch sales, I think.
Yeah. They should open a Patreon.
Honestly, get on OnlyFans.
I was just about to say OnlyFans.
I really think there's a market.
I couldn't agree more.
All right. KTM, call us.
We've got your financial recovery covered.
Yeah. Just give us a ring. The other thing I kind of noticed about this launch is all of the riders for KTM and Gas Gas. So that's Brad Binder, Pedro Acosta. You do love Brad Binder. Brad, Pedro, Enea Bastianini, and Maverick Vinales. All of them kept very, very close to the company line on, focusing on 2025 and really focusing on the bike this year. And I honestly have to give them props for that, because this is a shark infested waters of a launch. So I think they did a great job. Their media team did a great job. I think it was really solid.
Yeah, this is not the time to go around and fuck around with the party line. We love kings that can stay on message. I'm sure that their press officers were pleased. But also, how are you going to go off message? You're going to be well, I think that everything is bad, and I'm going to have to get on OnlyFans, quote, Brad Binder, 2025. I
will say, there were some photos of Pedro Acosta, and he did not look enthused. Happy. So there's a good chance that was kind of happening around in the, atmosphere. But on paper, I think everybody was aligned.
Everyone was blue, like Yamaha Pramac.
Great segue. Thanks, Zoe.
Thank you.
I think Yamaha gets a lot of flack for a lot of technical things. They've definitely had a rough couple of years ever since Fabio did win the championship. I think, in all honesty, this is my favorite launch of the preseason.
I agree. It was cohesive, but not the exact same thing. And Tim Gunn would be very proud.
I agree. It just felt very sharp. It felt very collected. It felt young. Does that make sense?
Hip even.
Exactly.
For a team that's kind of one of the grandfathers of the sport.
Yeah, the ancient statues.
It felt hip.
Valentino Rossi is rolling over in his grave right now.
Sorry, Valet.
No, but I genuinely really, really liked it. I think the thing that I had in our notes for this episode that I really wanted to talk about was the kind of launch video that they posted on YouTube kind of after the event. # the blue shift.
The blue shift. The blue crew.
I really loved it.
I loved it.
This is the thing that when I'm saying it feels young, it feels hip, it feels fresh. This is what I'm talking about. Because it felt very, I don't know, it felt vintage. It felt like a mid-90s music video. And I felt like it was just fun. I just enjoyed watching it. I got a good look at their Moto2 team as well. I just enjoyed it. It was just fun.
I think also, so oftentimes when you have riders try to pretend to be goofy on camera, it so often falls flat. And in this video, I think it worked. I think that it felt something they were doing on the set that day felt right. I also commend them for making the Monster Energy green not look completely out of place by setting the lighting to be kind of that green. I thought that it made everything come together really well. I'm sure it also made the editing team's job a lot easier if they were filming us on a green screen. I just thought it felt natural. I thought that all of the colors on the bikes looked really great, especially the purple.
On the Prima Pramacs?
Yeah, I thought that was sexy.
So the purple pre-existed the Prima Pramac and Yamaha partnership.
How many P's did you just say?
Purple pre-existed Prima Pramac partnership. 5. So the purple was there before, and it was in 2024. It was kind of a red and purple warmer combo. Mm-hmm. And so when they came to Yamaha, Prima Pramac kept the purple because that is part of the brand. And then they added more purple because of their, drumroll please, their Alpine partnership, which is, I think, that was news to me.
I guess it's pink and blue make purple.
Yeah. So it's cool to see Alpine come in and kind of be another presence of, F1 or a larger kind of motorsport series be part of
Mingling.
MotoGP. Yeah. In my thinking about the Prima Pramac bikes, I was really reminded of the Wildberry Pop-Tarts.
100% correct. And also one of the best Pop-Tart flavors.
Oh, yeah. I think the best.
I'm partial to the brown sugar cinnamon, but
I'll give you that one.
It's really just a classic. But I think aesthetically, you can't get any better than the Wildberry Pop-Tart.
Honestly, yeah, like it just really differentiates itself from all other Pop-Tarts. So the other big piece of the Yamaha launch is they did confirm loosely that they are looking to introduce the V4 engine in the 2025 season. So for your context, Zoe,
Thank you.
Yamaha is the only bike right now, the only manufacturer that's not currently working with a V4 engine on the grid. They're using an inline 4.
Okay.
Ducati was Ducati was the team to first really introduce the V4 and see success with it. So, there is some genuine, truth behind the idea that just because one team is seeing a lot of success with an engine doesn't mean everybody needs to shift over and will immediately see results. Honda is using a V4. They're not seeing results. So I think that's true. In my opinion, I think Yamaha originally didn't shift over to the V4 when everybody else started doing that because they were seeing a lot of success with the inline 4 and a lot of their kind of specific engineering setups with Valentino Rossi. That kept them from, innovating in a different direction because I think they were in the mindset of if it's not broke, don't fix it. So then once they stopped winning and Ducati started really picking up the pace, the issue is that it takes years to really develop an engine and kind of get it into a really competitive space. So I think ultimately they know that the regulations are coming in 2027.
Right.
And they know everybody else is going to be kind of fucked. Part of last year, they started to develop it. And then I think they're taking this year and 2026 to perfect it. So then once everybody is on a different playing field for 2027, they might kind of skip the painful growth part. And ultimately, I kind of think that's a good plan.
I agree.
And I kind of think they lucked into that, if I'm being honest. And to be fair, Yamaha has made some really key hiring poaches from Ducati. So I think that has definitely led into it. But I'm excited. I'm interested to see. I think Fabio Quartararo deserves a bike that he can actually make things happen with. I feel honestly tentatively excited about their chances. I don't know. I think it could be a good year for them after they've had some not great ones.
I don't have anything more to say. I mean, I think anything could happen.
My one last question.
Yeah, please.
Is now that Alpine is partnering with Prima Pramac, does that mean we're going to see Pierre Gasly at Le Mans?
You mean the site of his conception?
Yeah.
I sure hope so.
I'm betting on it.
I think everyone should go to Le Mans. I think it's very fun. Now I get to correct you on pronunciation. There's no S.
Okay.
En
Le Mans.
En français.
Le Mans.
No S. Le Mans. I think that Alpine should go. I want to see our crossover king, Mick
Jack
Schumacher. No, Mick Schumacher.
That's the wrong crossover king, my love.
But he's racing for Alpine and WEC.
Honestly, that would be kind of a sick lineup to see Mick Schumacher, Jack Doohan, and Pierre Gasly all at Le Mans.
That's what I'm saying, is that he's going to be there anyway with Alpine because he's racing with them in endurance this year. And then you've got Jack and,
watch this space. We'll talk about it.
Watch this space. I'm excited about Le Mans. I love, not Alpine, but
we love Jack. We love Jack on this podcast. Like, that's the truth of the matter.
Yeah, we love a crossover event. The Sweet Life of Hannah Montana on Deck or whatever it was. Prima Pramac Le Mans Alpine
Grand Prix.
Shall
we talk about Honda?
Yes.
Let's talk about Honda. So famously, this is the first season that Honda is taking part in MotoGP in, I think, about 30 years without their Repsol partnership, which is kind of insane, like astronomically bizarre to talk about Honda without saying Repsol Honda. That iconic orange, the Repsol orange, is of course naturally not on the bike this year, but they did introduce their new title sponsorship with Castrol, so another oil company, which, you know, it is an oil sport, I guess. Most motorsports are.
Purely design standards. I like Castrol a lot better design-wise. I think that they've got a really nice like vintage look to them that goes along with what Honda is doing and like rolling out this very vintage feel to a lot of their tie-in merchandise across motorsports. I think that they're trying to lean into this, like, when you think classic motorsport, you think Honda. And I think that Castrol just fits hand in hand with this. I think that they're kind of like a titan of oil looming in the background.
My take on the Castrol thing too is I think it's good that they're going with a different title sponsor, because for so long Mark has been so indelibly linked with Repsol and with that orange.
Yes.
And I think Mark is still on the grid. Like, he is still very much around, just not riding for this team. And you need a different identity. You need a different visualization of who Honda is now to kind of separate from that. And I think Castrol is a big part of that process.
Yeah, and I guess who Honda is now is red.
So much red. This is my thing. There's too much red. Ducati, sure. Red team. Love it.
Yeah.
Too much red, I think, on the Honda.
I want Honda to be white.
I think they should go
white. Go
all in
white.
on the white and green.
Green I'm less so about, but like if you look back in like the classic days of Honda and other motorsport and F1 everywhere else, they like 90s Honda in the white.
Well, I'm thinking back to like Braun
in the white, like
with the Honda, yeah,
with like a hint, like do a hint white with just a hint of the other three. Like Honda is so classic with the racing stripes. Like just do your little red and blue racing stripe, a little bit of green for Castrol, and make it all white, and it'll be so unique on the grid, and it'll look so sexy. And you won't be red.
I think it was somewhere Mugello, Misano, one of the Italian races. Rizzini raced with a white, predominantly white and kind of cerulean blue livery. It was beautiful. It was stunning. There's not enough white on the MotoGP grid, in my opinion. And I think Honda has they missed that opportunity to take advantage of that white space.
But
that's a marketing joke.
That's a marketing joke. Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Too much red. Go back to your roots, Honda.
And that's that on that. So let's talk about the wider world of motorsports beyond MotoGP.
Taking a glance elsewhere, we head to Spain, to Barcelona, where one Lewis Hamilton has crashed his Ferrari while testing.
So I sent this to you, and I was having a bit of a giggle about it because there's so much pressure on this partnership. Everyone's expecting it to go really well. And I just thought it was really funny that I think he crashed it maybe the second time getting in a Ferrari. And you actually informed me that he does this a lot.
It's not that he does this a lot. It's that he's done this every single time he started with a new team, and specifically at the Spanish GP track. When he started with McLaren in 2007, he crashed his car while testing in Spain. When he started with Mercedes in 2013, he crashed his car while testing in Spain. And now it's 2025, and we love a consistent king.
Crashed his car in Spain.
I love tradition. I love a person who adheres to tradition. And I think it's a good omen.
It honestly is, because he was successful with McLaren. He was successful with Mercedes. I think that means only good things are coming from here. You heard it here first.
When you crash your car, there's literally nowhere to go but up. The other thing that I want to talk about in the wide world of motorsport is that Johnny Herbert is no longer going to be an F1 steward.
I love this story. Because it is proof, in my opinion, it is proof that American sporting knows something, is doing something right.
It's one thing to be a commentator and then also dictating the rules of the race. But
Yes.
to add in that you are literally also being sponsored by a sports betting company, that would never happen in America in a million years.
I think it's safe to say that's illegal.
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, we're not lawyers. Do not take this as legal advice. But there's no way that flies.
It feels
in the
like a
States.
no-no. It feels like a big no-no.
To me, it feels like the only reason he's stepping down or quote unquote has to stop being a steward is because people found out and were like, hey, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I think it's, I think probably Max Verstappen might have raised a little stink.
Good for him.
And then the FIA actually did something for once and looked into it and said that, maybe this is a conflict of interest a little bit. To which I say, yeah, no shit.
And I have to say, I respect when people get their bag.
100%.
I get it. But I also think a key element of getting your bag is making sure it's a sustainable process and a long-term one. And I think really crossing these streams, I don't know how he thought this was going to last.
And if you're going to get your bag, have good opinions.
That too. Be correct, at least.
Be correct, at least. And pick a lane.
Agreed.
Can't do it all, buddy.
Key finding of this one, pick a lane.
The other thing that happened is that we had the Autosports Award, and Alpine, speaking of Alpine, rocked up with awful hair choices.
Real bad ones.
Real bad ones from both Pierre Gasly and Jack Doohan.
I can't talk about it. I did see something, I think, on Twitter that said that there was a photo of Jack and Pierre, and someone was like, Jack just looks like Pierre's bodyguard.
He does.
And he really did look like that.
Yeah, and I think Pierre looked like the way that his hairline is lined up makes him look like a young Eminem.
For one split second, I thought you meant the candy.
No.
And then I got that you meant the rapper out of Detroit. Yes, totally get it. Following. And I agree. I think it's the buzz cut isn't a bad look on him, but it's not the best choice.
It's the square hairline. It's you've got a very angular face, and I think you need the round. At least Jack's got the roundness to it that makes it look a little bit normal. I can get into the buzz cut on Jack, it must be said. He gives me Brad Pitt, Beckham vibes.
I really get Rusty Ryan from Ocean's 11 from him when he has a buzz cut.
Exactly. Yeah. And I like that.
I think Jack should get one of those kind of janky, mid-90s, tribal flame tattoos. I think it would really work for him.
Gonna agree to disagree there. But you know who came to the Autosport Award not rocking bad anything, and once again pulling even the entire team on her back?
Is it perhaps Abby Pulling?
It is F1 Academy champion Abby Pulling, who looked phenomenal.
She looked incredible. Insane. That dress is absolutely amazing. And it photographed so well.
So beautifully. She looked beautiful. It was such a beautiful, bronze coppery color for her skin tone. Truly carrying all of Alpine on her back.
It's crazy. She's doing so much for that brand. And I feel like she probably has to be getting paid peanuts.
If she's getting paid at all.
That's a great point. Justice for Abby.
You know what? I'm going to say something controversial, but true. We're all, is it going to be Franco? Is it going to be Jack? Is it going to be Franco?
Put Abby in the car.
Put Abby in the car.
Put Abby in the car. Abby Pulling 2025.
Alpine 2025. I don't give a shit about Jack Doohan. I don't give a shit about Franco Colapinto. Flavio Briatore, listen to me.
You have the opportunity to do the funniest thing in motorsports right now.
Ever. And it's the opportunity of a lifetime. And I know you love to mix it up.
Flavio, no one could ever call you a misogynist again.
If you did, Flavio, please, it would be so good.
If you did this one thing for us.
Please, Flavio. Please. It would be so good if she was in the car. And I think
it
she
would be
could
so
hold her
good.
own. The thing is about what everyone says is like, oh, the girls can't hang in like F2, blah, blah, blah. That's because there's no power steering until you get to F1.
Oh,
Once
yeah.
you give her power steering, I see no reason that she's not on par with Jack or Franco.
Here's my thought. Put Abby Pulling in an Alpine. Put Dorian Pin in a
Mercedes.
Williams.
Oh, okay. Sure.
And let them body the rest of the mid teams on the grid.
Does Dorian Pin have an appendix still?
Well, she'd have to get it taken out before she came to Williams.
Right.
Like contractually, she'd have to get it taken out.
Contractually, yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably the smartest move. I think that's how we fix F1.
Honestly, yeah. Done and dusted.
Done and dusted. The other thing is that Valet, who's, on his Barbie career of the day, came second with his team at the 12 Hours of Bathurst in supercar racing.
And I was so happy to see this because he rocked up to the podium in his like wine drunk aunt at a country club, huge sunglasses. And it was so, like you could feel the joy like rolling off of him. And I think that's something that Valet doesn't typically let people see. So I had a blast just watching that.
He was having a blast too on that podium. He was having so much fun.
And he's actually going to be at a lot more MotoGP races this year. So we'll see a lot more of him. All right. Should we talk about the grid as?
I think 100%.
Amazing.
For those uninitiated, every episode we like to end on something called the grid as ... where we pick a handful of drivers, riders, and we assign them to something.
A thing.
And a thing, a concept, and in honor of liveries and looks, I think that we should talk the grid as tattoo styles.
Amazing. I can kick off with some MotoGP grid as.
Hit me.
Okay, so we're talking 2 MotoGP riders as tattoo styles. So we're starting with Fabio Quartararo, who is a rider for Yamaha on the factory team. Fabio, this is a bit of a cheat answer, so cut me some slack. Fabio does have quite a few tattoos, and the reason I'm choosing this tattoo style of hyper-realistic black and white is because he has quite a few of them, including some very, very, I'm pretty sure they're Catholic-inspired large tattoos. And I think he is just someone who loves to see the art and the beauty in everything, even if it maybe isn't what you or I might see as beautiful. And I think he just wants to keep that with him. And that's where he is really reading to me as that hyperrealism.
But what does hyperrealism say about him spiritually, like as a person?
Maybe he has a bad memory and he just wants to keep all of that stuff on him.
You know what? Excellent point.
My other rider for the grid as is Pedro Acosta. And I'm actually not totally sure if Pedro has any tattoos. He was the rookie on the 2024 grid, so he's still a little young. But to me, he is classic American tattoo styles. I think he is bombastic. He is bright colors. He is very kind of thick lines, very specific aesthetic, very kind of that pirate vibe.
Yeah.
And I think he would absolutely have an American style like shark on like his upper thigh.
Yeah.
I think is something he would do.
Or like a arrow heart type.
Mom.
100% agree. I think that for somebody so young too, it's good to give them, limited options in terms of colors, style choices. Like,
yeah,
start out safe.
Start out with one cohesive look and then go from there.
Famously, our king, Daniel Ricciardo, also started out with something along the lines of American traditional, with his famous no regrets ship on his upper thigh.
Yeah, I feel very fondly about that one.
I do too. He also has a mom and pop American traditional tattoo.
Yeah. I think honestly he and Pedro could be friends.
I chose people that weren't tattooed. Speaking of Alpine, since we gave him a bit of a hard time earlier, I thought we could continue along that track. Now, for Jack, you did say a tribal tattoo sleeve. You know what? I'm going to agree with you now. I agreed to disagree earlier, but I think that Jack Doohan, I think, would rock a tribal tattoo sleeve. I could also see Jack with a tattoo a la his dad's good friend, Michael Schumacher, with that kind of like Asian early 20s, like flame type upper arm loop tattoo. I think that could really be sick on him.
I completely agree. I think I'm changing my answer to that for Jack.
I don't know what that's called.
But we have a very clear vision of it, so I think it's
fine. Know what we're talking about. And then Pierre, I think Pierre could be one of two things. I think Pierre is either a really pretentious geometric tattoo, or he's a really pretentious blackout tattoo.
You know what I could really see Pierre also doing? Some kind of like MC Escher-esque design piece where it's kind of meant to all puzzle pieces together and like look like something else. I think he could really be into that.
No.
Maybe something from Dali.
Ooh. I think that he would probably go either geometric blackout, or I could see him doing like a really like new school cross tattoo, like Mother Mary type thing.
Well, he wears a crucifix all the time.
Is it a crucifix if Jesus isn't on it? I thought it was just a cross.
I don't know if he does wear a cross versus a crucifix. The crucifix has Jesus on it, yeah.
Catholics, get in the comments and let us know what the difference is.
No, thank you.
And then Abby Pulling, I think that she would not get a tattoo because why put a bumper sticker on a Bentley?
Oh, great call. Great choice.
To quote
Or
Kim
she
Kardashian.
would start tracking her championships. No in between.
Yeah, but in a really tasteful way.
Yes.
Like maybe like some dots or, you know, like a fine line tattoo on her ankle. Yeah, exactly. Like just in Roman numerals.
Mm-hmm.
Something classy.
Like our girl Abby.
Pierre Gasly would get a tramp stamp butterfly.
No, he would get a cyber sigilism tramp stamp.
Is that what Michael Schumacher's thing is called?
Maybe. Here, let me pull it up.
See, the Grid As is not just silly, it's educational.
We're learning things.
Yeah, that's what Michael Schumacher has.
Yeah, that's cyber sigilism.
Yeah, something like that. No, you know what Pierre Gasly would have? Pierre Gasly would have a tattoo in Chinese, Japanese.
Oh my God, he would have Ariana Grande's kanji tattoo that says something about 10 grills.
Exactly. Instead of 10 rings. 7 rings or what? 7 grills. I think that he would pick a foreign language and the person tattooing it would be like, yes, this means wisdom. And then he speaks to somebody from the language and like, this means white person. And he would have gotten it with Yuki, and Yuki would have intentionally mistranslated it as a prank in Japanese.
Yep.
And I think that's that. We've been correct about tattoos. We've been correct about liveries. We've been correct about motorsport in general. So that brings us to the end of the episode. What else is there to say?
Thanks for listening, you guys. Sorry about the side tangent on cyber sigilism, but I hope you all learned something.
And come hang out with us on TikTok and Instagram at Motomouths.
We're super fun there. Promise.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.